Welcome to the place. I am the one they call the living legend of hair loss, Nick Shell. If you're me, here's what happens in your life. You realize that someone left a comment on a video you made called Forget Hair Loss. How do I actually make a living? And then Travis Hill leaves a comment, and here's what it says. Quote, I bet you're a therapist, end quote. So I'm not sure if our friend Travis actually watched the video because I tell exactly how I actually make a living. But here's instantly what I thought when I saw I bet you're a therapist. I feel that that's what I'm doing on this channel. Can I get an amen? From anyone who's been watching my channel here. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do on this channel. I'm a therapist. With that being said, I have had to remind everyone multiple times, I'm not actually an expert. I'm not a hair loss specialist. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. With that being said though, I do a lot of therapy, don't I? I mean, there's nearly 7,000 people subscribed to this channel. And there's this constant group of people, and this is a growing percentage, no matter how small or large my channel has been, that lives in this disillusion that women won't find me attractive, no one will marry me, if I do get married, she'll divorce me, or she'll cheat on me. It's this deranged, toxic way of thinking. And then what happens is, I come along serving as a father figure. It's very therapeutic. It's like therapy. It's like free therapy is what this is like. And I've for years I've been saying that those who are prone to more negative effects of hair loss psychologically, there are certain things they all have in common, and it's so obvious to me. Typically, they're the guys that don't have a strong relationship with their own father. I mean, think about this alone. Everything I say in the videos to help remind you what actually gives you value, your sense of humor, your ability to help other people, make people laugh, make other people feel good about themselves, to be confident in yourself based on what you're good at and what you're not good at. These things that I keep reminding everybody of, reminding you that women are not attracted to men in the same way we're attracted to women. We're the ones that are so physically attracted. They're not that way to us. They're thinking, ultimately, is this man going to treat me right, help provide for my family, cheer me up when I'm having a bad day? It's all this other stuff. That's why I'm having these conversations with my viewers, reminding you of these things. And here's what it makes me think of. How many of your own fathers are reminding you of these things, are teaching you these things, have ever said these things to you? My guess is not many of you, and that's why you're watching my channel. I feel that void that your own father does not fill. I would say either for a lot of you, for the ones who are most bothered by hair loss or the fear of hair loss, I've noticed a pattern that the father in their life is not present and active in a positive way. I'm the substitute. I'm filling in, and therefore there's a lot of therapy here. On top of that, we also have the issue that so many young men are regularly watching pornography on their phones and computers, therefore only distancing themselves from reality about what women actually find attractive and how to relate to women and what women actually care about. And then of course there's social media itself, where everyone's comparing themselves to these perfect ideas that may or may not even be real, also like pornography. How many of my viewers have their own dads telling them this stuff? I think what happens is those who end up in one of those things I mentioned, and let me add another one to that too. And maybe this is the number one where someone's just traumatized by the thought of hair loss, is that they were traumatized as a child. And I hate to even say it, but I can imagine how many viewers I have that were abused as children. Whatever kind of abuse that was, physical, sexual, psychological, verbal, they were abused as a child, and it rewired their thinking, and they're growing up, but they're still trapped in that mindset to where something as superficial and natural and common as hair loss is stifling them from developing in the ways they need to psychologically and socially. So what happens? Let me watch this guy on YouTube, because he's got 2,700 videos, and I'm not exaggerating with that number, on YouTube about hair loss. I trick people into coming here, but not meaning to. They're like, am I receding? Let's find out. Let me watch this guy. And then what they realize is this guy doesn't care, because most of us are going to go bald or be noticeably balding at some point in our life, in our adult life. I ultimately don't care if I go bald or you go bald. It doesn't really matter to me. That's not our identity. Do you have a positive father figure telling you these things, addressing the pornography addiction, addressing the fact that you're living your life on a cell phone, comparing yourself to other people constantly? And did you have something traumatic happen to you in your childhood that you've never talked about with a professional? So yeah, it is fair to say that what I do for a living is therapy. Now granted, what I actually do for a living is a Venn diagram of, it's basically half sales and half HR. That's a job. That's what I do for a living, and I've done all my career. That really has nothing to do with this channel though. What you see in this channel has nothing to do with my professional career. It's my heart. It's mentoring younger men, telling them things that they need to hear that no one else is telling them, because they haven't lived enough life experience to hear them, and they don't have access to somebody like me in real life who's going to tell them. So yes, I instantly agree with that comment. That, yeah, it's like I'm a therapist, but I'm not an actual expert. I'm not an actual psychologist. I have an English degree. If you want to measure my education, I have an English degree. And yes, I was a school teacher in the process. I haven't much experience teaching children, but I think now that I've gotten older, that carries over to, and I've also taught boys, like high school and junior high, so it only makes sense that I've always felt that connection as far as that mentorship. So it only makes sense that, because when you think about who's watching my channel, it's mainly people that are half my age or younger. And there's a reason for that. You're not seeing guys who are actually balding worrying about this. You're seeing younger guys from a generation that I personally can't relate to, but I'm having to transplant this truth from my generation and older who care less about hair loss, and say, look, this is the knowledge you need to help make up the differences in all of the way that culture has changed. Even go back to pornography. Let me remind you that if anyone my age or older wanted to access pornography as a teenage boy, they had to get a hold of a magazine. It wasn't on the internet. When I was 16, the internet was invented. And even then, it was not that great of an internet. And keep in mind, how many men do you know in your life that can honestly say they have never fapped to porn, ever sought out pornography? I have refused that from my life. It's part of my identity to run the other way from pornography, because I know, and forget about religious aspects of it, it rewires your brain in a toxic way, and no one else is talking about it. I'm one of the few people talking. Forget about the no-fap guys, okay? Look, that's good and all what they're doing, what they're saying. Don't make this about, well, if you're fapping, then it releases DHT, and you go, forget about it. Your body doesn't know the difference between fapping and the real thing. That's not why people are going on. It's that fapping with porn being the word, is therefore going to negatively, toxically change how you perceive something as superficial and natural and common as balding. That's why pornography is toxic. But no one's saying this. People want to make it about religion. People want to make it about fapping. No, psychology. And I'm a guy who is not an expert. I'm not certified. I have no degree on this topic. I have an English degree. So yeah, I think what I do is pretty much free, unexpert therapy. What do you think about that? Comment section right here.